They're not. I don't want. There's one. Okay.
Piece of rice.
Oeh, dit zijn de flowers. Zijn de balls?
The prey that they eat?
Or zijn de balls?
Baby brine shrimp. How are baby brine shrimp? What's the one of
What do they feel like?
They feel gelatinous. That's what they feel.
My favorite descriptor is peeled grape.
Peeled grape. I like
They're a
that.
lot firmer than you would
Yeah.
imagine.
This week we're still in the Kent Narrows area by Annapolis, so we decided to take a day trip to Baltimore, and we went to Fort McHenry, which is the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner.
It was written during the attack on Fort McHenry by the British in the War of 1812. Then we headed across town to the Babe Ruth birthplace house. They have a little museum there about Babe Ruth, and that was pretty cool. And then we headed over to another aquarium. I love aquariums. This is the one in Baltimore.
The National Aquarium.
Yeah.
They're not. I don't want. There's one.
And this is Laura. She wanted to touch a jellyfish.
Oeh, dit zijn de flowers. Zijn de balls?
The prey that they eat?
Or zijn de balls?
Baby brine shrimp. How are baby brine shrimp? What's the one of
What do they feel like?
They feel gelatinous. That's what they feel.
My favorite descriptor is peeled grape.
Peeled grape. I like
They're a
that.
lot firmer than you would
Yeah.
imagine.
The tanks at this aquarium were very nicely done, and we really enjoyed the regional tanks that they had. They had some they had fish that we don't see in Texas, so they had some of the tanks from the northeast area.
Like, they had mountain streams from New Jersey, and that were fish that I'd never seen before. And then we saw the world's second loudest bird.
This was in the Amazon rainforest exhibit. We also made a trip to Philadelphia, and we were able to take the hop-on, hop-off bus tour.
On City Hall Tower below William Penn are two Lenni Lenape Indians and two Swedish pioneers. Lenni Lenape were here for thousands of years before William Penn arrived, and the Swedes were the first Europeans to settle.
Then we went to the Independence Hall and saw a lot of history there. Ended up going through and seeing the rooms where the Continental Congressman wrote the Declaration of Independence, and then later wrote the Constitution.
Is the first time all 13 American colonies are gathering in the same place at the same time with each other.
While we're in Philadelphia, we decided to go to their 3 art museums that are very close to each other. So we went to the Rodin Museum, which has the Thinker and a beautiful courtyard in front and many sculptures inside. I believe this one's called The Kiss. Very nicely done. Next door is the Barnes Museum, and it has an unbelievable collection.
They have a nice walkway too in front with these trees, and I like walkways. And then they had a bunch of Cezanne and Renoir paintings, and here's a couple of Van Goghs. They didn't have very many Van Goghs. Nobody's got that much money. But this place is chocked full of paintings.
It's kind of overwhelming how many they have up on a wall.
It's almost too much. It's just unbelievable. There's
They were
a Renoir,
beautiful.
and they had like 160 Renoirs there.
I enjoyed seeing all the different styles of Renoirs.
Yeah, this is one I really like the happiness that he expresses on these girls' faces. And then we had the rental car, which kind of would drive itself. So I encouraged Laura to to give it a chance to see what it would do. And you can see it starts to turn the car.
And it was doing it. I just got nervous. So we are leaving Safe Harbor Narrows in Kent Island. The sunrise at 6 o'clock this morning. When Chris told me that, I said, I don't think that's right. But it was. So we left, I think it's about 6:30. Much earlier than I wanted to be. Look at that, there's another one of our boats. One of our subscribers said that they are at this marina also with our same boat. So we didn't get a chance to meet him, but thank you for the suggestion. This was a nice marina, very nice marina. We ended up being here a lot longer than we expected. We had bad weather. We were going to be here just for 3 days, and then we had bad weather coming up. So we decided to stay a little longer for that. And then by that time, Stephen was leaving on Saturday. And I said, you know, it's up to you. We can do another, move the boat again, or we can just keep the rent car and go do something else, you know. So he decided that he wanted to keep the rent car and go do sightseeing. So we ended up going to Philadelphia for 2 days. We went 2 different days. So it was about almost a 2-hour trip one way. But you know, we keep saying we're from Houston. We go on 2-hour trips. Oh, right there? Yeah, I see it. There's another one like ours. Chris said he saw 3 in the under that cover. There's the other one right there. Apparently our boat was very popular up here. So there it is. But we're from Houston, and we would drive 2 hours to go like for day trip kind of things. So 2 hours didn't bother us. We had a great time, but we are headed to the CND Canal today. So we're trying to, we don't know if we're going to get to Chesapeake City or if we're going to get to Delaware City. We don't know yet, but we figure we're leaving early, and by leaving early we might make it all the way to Delaware City. So we'll see. We had a really good time with Stephen. I'm so glad that he was here. I'm so glad he came and joined us. So he got to have some boat rides. We got to move the boat a few times, and we got some great sightseeing in too. We had some bad weather, like I said. We had one day that we just didn't go anywhere. But I dropped him off at the airport yesterday, turned my rent car in last night, and we are on to our next adventure. Well, we are reaching the end of our Chesapeake Bay journey. We are about to turn into the area for the CND Canal. So the CND Canal stands for the Chesapeake and Delaware Bays Canal, basically. We've had such a great time on the Chesapeake Bay. We stayed, we could have stayed longer. I could have stayed longer. There's so much history here. There's so much beauty. The water is gorgeous. The towns are wonderful. The countryside, I'm so glad we had a rent car and did some traveling through the states, because it was just beautiful. So Delaware and Maryland, they were, to me, they were surprisingly beautiful. I don't think I knew enough about them to have an opinion, but now I have a wonderful, it was a wonderful time. The history here, if you've never been in this area, the history, American history is just overwhelming. How much there is, and every little town that you go in, they have so many, I shouldn't say that, so many towns you go into, they have Revolutionary War era or colonial era houses and things in the area that had happened. So I keep saying, you know, I'm a Texas girl. We don't have this in Texas, but this is absolutely true. It was fabulous. We had considered going to Havres de Grace, which is north of Baltimore, and but still, it's like they consider it the very tip of the Chesapeake Bay, the very, very top. The problem is that we've got a good weather window for going down the Delaware Bay tomorrow. So that is, we're gonna go ahead and take advantage of that. So we've turned off of the main bay and we are headed to the CND Canal. There's so many other places that I would have loved to gone to. We had a question last week about, are we talking about doing a second loop? And we may be talking about that. We keep talking about when we get back to Florida and then when we get back here. So we are considering doing a second loop. It's on the table. Chris keeps telling me, you'll feel differently in a year. I don't know. We've lived on the boat officially 1 year. This weekend was 1 year since we moved onto the boat. We moved out of our house. We had our very last load coming out of our house and moved on the boat full time 1 year ago this weekend. So I don't miss the house. I don't miss, I thought I would, but I don't. I know Chris misses his garage. Chris misses the garage where he had, you know, all his goodies and all his tools and everything. But there's, you know, I like collecting, I like doing all that, but I feel like now I'm collecting memories. To be kind of sappy, I'm collecting memories as opposed to collecting things. We found something in a store the other day that we both really liked, and we had a way to get it home and off the boat, and we just looked at each other and said, no, we don't need it. We don't need things. I think one of my favorite, I don't know, I can't even say favorite. I really liked St. Michael's. It was a wonderful little town and cute shops, and just I really liked St. Michael's. I would definitely come back to St. Michael's. But I could definitely see spending a summer in the Chesapeake, just bebopping around and going to all these small places. And we were early in the season, So in fact, people were saying our season hasn't opened yet. Or, you know, we were so early in the season, nothing was open during the week, or we were on their first day of opening. So when I saw things about in season, I really didn't understand what that meant, but I do now. We were, I guess, middle of April seemed to be like early season. And it seemed, I read someplace that they were talking about like Memorial Day is the beginning of, the true beginning of season. So, for those people that are curious and are thinking about coming up here or doing the loop, just know that things, when they're not in season, there's not a lot of things open, but they do have just the quaint and experiences of these places are wonderful. So as we moved up the Chesapeake today, we've been closer to land than we had been. The Chesapeake is really deep out in the center and in the channels. When we were coming up to St. Michael's, we had a lot of crab pots, but I shouldn't say anything, but we haven't had any crab pots. I saw one crab pot today. That was it. We don't know if crabbing season is over. It's now May, so we don't know if the crabbing season is over, but it's been nice to not have to dodge them. But by being closer to land, I'm able to see all these houses that are on the water, and they're just, you know, beautiful. There's mansions, there's non-mansions, but they're just wonderful houses. Most of them on the water have these stairs that come down, these steps that come down to the water, obviously, because they're up kind of on a hill. Some of them have docks, some of them just have fishing piers. We're out on a Saturday. Oh, I'm sorry. We're out on a Sunday. And this is more boaters than we've seen in a long time. We had read things that said, you know, don't go out on the weekends in the Chesapeake Bay because it's, you know, it's just small boats everywhere. People out for the weekend. And I can understand why. You know, this is a wonderful boating area. But like I said, it's May now, and it's a really pretty day. It's finally warming up. We have been in the 40s and 50s. It feels like for weeks. It may not have been. It may have just been like a week and a half, but it feels like a long time. And there's no rain, and so it's a beautiful day to be out on the boat. And so we've had a lot more small boats out today than we've seen in a long time. So we are on the CND Canal. There are lots of bridges. I shouldn't say lots of bridges. I think this is our third bridge, second bridge, third bridge. And then there's a railroad bridge ahead of us that's up. We are rolling along. We've had a great day so far. We've been on the water 6 hours. 6 hours. And we have 10 miles to go till what? And we have 10 miles to go to get to Delaware Bay. Lots of people out today. Lots of people going fast. And we have 2 barges behind us. One right after the other. They've been behind us for a while, but they're gaining on us. All right, we are ending the CND Canal. Delaware City is that way. So when you come out of the CND Canal, you would head north and go to Delaware City. We have a lot of friends that staged there, so we know that it's a good place to go. There's a guy that the owner there, I think, gives a briefing for what to do. But the seas, oh my gosh, the seas are going to be so calm. That's the prediction. That's the prediction. So we are just going to keep going. We've got a lowering tide, outgoing tide, and we're just going to keep going. We're on Delaware Bay, and it is flat calm. We have some friends that went down the bay a few days ago, and they said it was really bumpy. But we've got just a beautiful, beautiful day to be taking this bay. It is flat calm. Well, I spoke too soon earlier. It's a bumpy. It's not bad. It's just bumpy. We have the outgoing tide still, but Chris said that the wind is coming straight up the bay. So it's a lot more, it's not flat like it was, it was an hour ago. But we have, what, about 2 hours till our anchorage? How much? We have 11 miles to our anchorage. And we're going 9 miles an hour, so it's not going to be much longer. But it's not as smooth as it was earlier. Almost. We're just going to do an anchorage that's about halfway down the bay. Okay, we have had a long few days. We are on the Delaware Bay. We left this morning. We anchored last night. I don't know if we got video of our anchorage. It was pretty bumpy. It was pretty rocky until about 11 at night, and then it kind of calmed down. And then it was flat calm this morning, which was great. So we left about 6:45, something like that. Mike and Jody were in the anchorage with us, and they left a little before us, probably about 20 minutes. And Mike and Jody are way in the distance up there. We caught up to them, we sped up. We both decided that we're going to go ahead and try to make it all the way to Atlantic City today. So we're gonna bypass Cape May, except we need fuel. When we left yesterday morning, it was Sunday at like 6, and our fuel dock wasn't open. And we considered getting fuel in the CND Canal, and decided against it because we thought, oh, well, we're going to be staying in Cape May. Well, we originally thought we were staying in Delaware City, and then we changed it to Cape May, and now we're going to Atlantic City. So we need fuel. We're just at like half a tank. We're 8 miles to Cape May. We're at half a tank, but we will be going on the outside. We're going to be going in the Atlantic, and we do not want to be in the Atlantic with just half a tank of fuel. So we're going to have to do a little short side trip to into the canal at Cape May and get fuel, and then come out the other side, and we should be meeting up with No Agenda, Mike and Jody, so we can at that time, because they're going to go around the point, and we're going to buddy boat up to Atlantic City. That's the plan. We just got passed by Boatnik. We met them in Annapolis. So we had dinner with them and a couple other boats, and so we just got passed by them. They're going about 12.5 miles an hour, I think. We're going 10. So one of our adventures this morning is we were going along, bebopping along. We had really raised how fast we were going, and we ended up in, we originally thought crab pots, but they were fishing nets strung across between buoys, and we were in the middle of it by the time we saw. We did not catch any nets, we did not run over any buoys, but we slowed down really slow. Like we were going, Chris, we were stopped, and Chris would just engage an engine here and there. And so we did a detour and went back out into deeper water. And Boatniks actually contacted me and asked if we were okay, because we were going, they saw us turn on Nebo. And I said, no, we're good. We're trying to get away from the fishing nets. So we appreciate them checking on us. It's kind of bumpy in here in this bay. We're about 8 miles, Chris says, to Cape May. There's a load of us coming down though. I think there's 7 of us, 7 boats underway. We're all about the same place right now. We're all in a line. Boats out, and we've also seen some container ships. We passed up some container ships. They were way over there. The main channel is here to our starboard, over that way, and so we really didn't get any wake from them, but they were big. All right, so we're in the channel for Cape May. We left the Delaware Bay and we're in the channel. It's gonna take about 20 minutes, I think, to get to the marina where we're getting fuel, and I believe that's where all the marinas are. So this is a little channel that so you don't have to go offshore and around. So that's what we're doing. So we exited the Cape May cut through and entered the Atlantic Ocean, and it's just gorgeous out here. The water is this beautiful blue-green, and
Well, not that far from offshore either. You can tell that that's the land right there. There's some kind of high rises and stuff, and it was pretty much built up most of the coast. The water though was really pretty.
I was very shocked at how close to shore we were, and it just got that green color so quickly. And then we're arriving, or we can see Atlantic City from a long way away.
Well, it's another bucket list kind of event happening here. I've always kind of thought about what it would be like to boat on the Atlantic Ocean. Being a boater predominantly in the Gulf Coast. And here it is. It's happened today. We're on our way to Atlantic City. It's a beautiful day. Slees are a little rolly, but not bad at all. Not any more than you would expect. And we're passing along the east coast, or probably a mile offshore, at the most probably. And sun is shining. It's warm. We've got a couple of crazy 2 days. It's very difficult. We didn't really want to pass by, you know, Chesapeake City and Delaware City and Cape May, but the offshore weather was very nice for the first 2 days this week, so we decided to just plow through and try to get up the East Coast as far as they could for the offshore forecast deteriorated. We spent a lot of time last week kind of researching the intracoastal water with the inside passage, but it sounds like it was going to be a little bit of a pucker factor in there with a lot of bridges. One of the bridges was kind of iffy, and a lot of shallow spots. People reported that, they had some places they had less than a foot of water underneath their keel, because and you have to be careful about straying from the channel at all. So this was a little bit of a fortuitous event, having all this calm down. Of course, now we're basically we missed those 3 stops, and we're making long 80 and 90 mile runs every day. So that's looping, I guess. You gotta take the weather when you get it. So the plan for tomorrow is another long day. Hopefully the offshore forecast holds up, because we got maybe 80 miles tomorrow to get us into New York. Mara's trying to work out where we're going to stay in New York. We'll see. We're getting there maybe 6 or 7 days early than we expected to do it. So we may have to spend some time in New York sightseeing, which won't be a bad situation. But it's very beautiful out here, and I'm going to check something off the bucket list.
So we're entering the Atlantic City area. We're almost to the channel that takes you into the basin. We're staying at the marina in front of the Golden Nugget Casino. And no agenda is here with us, so we ended up going down to the boardwalk for dinner, Atlantic City Boardwalk. And we saw this guy on
he's flying his powered parachute around. It was pretty cool. And then I took some pictures of the Golden Nugget right at the end of our pier, really.
Right there. All right, so join us next week as we head up to New York and beyond, up the Hudson River. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, leave your comments, and like our video. And we look forward to seeing you again.